All right, first step is choosing the violin. We know that we want to cut the scroll off. So I want to choose a violin that probably doesn't have pegs and maybe has a broken scroll. So if you take a look at this one, it's in pretty good condition. It has no pegs. It doesn't need any body work, so I could just kind of get right into it. But it's actually maybe too nice for the project, even though it's not that nice. This one is a little more beat up, and you can see the scroll is actually messed up, which seems like a good candidate. And the body's pretty solid, but then you get in over here, and you can see that the bottom block was split at some point, which means I have to take the whole top off, then fix it to make that work. So I might as well use this for something that requires taking the top off in the first place. So this guy, also really beat up, has some pretty nasty looking pegs, you know, the fretboard and everything. It's obviously not worth that much. The body is intact and has the end pin, and you know, this is basically messed up enough, but in decent enough condition that you can just get right into doing what you want to do. So I'm going to choose this one. Whenever I take on a project, I'd like to do the most robust, logical, and frankly, most straightforward thing. So I obviously don't want to like take the whole thing apart and do all this other shit. I want to think about how do I get the head off of this thing and this thing working again in like a very simple and sleek way. So I've got all these parts, and I'm going to look through these tail pieces. I'm going to look through these pegs and all this other stuff here and just kind of figure out, well, how do the angles work? Where can I put what to like figure out, you know, obviously there's got to be some kind of tuning mechanism that's not going to be up here anymore, right? It's going to be like down here somewhere or around here. So it has a lot to do, I think, with the tail piece, and you're putting pegs somewhere. So maybe maybe the pegs go in a box down here and you're actually like tuning kind of in a box sticking out. Or maybe they go kind of like in this vicinity of the box is like attached to the tailpiece or something. Obviously the other end of the ball end is going to have to come up and then sit in here somehow. So I don't know if you've seen electric guitars, but they usually come up and they're like Allen wrench clamped into the top here. But in our case, I think I'm just going to cut it like right here, just straight across around where the nut is, and then I don't know, figure out a way to kind of like put the ball end inside of this lip here, which I guess is kind of annoying for feel. So maybe I'll try to get like right inside of here so that the balls kind of sit here somehow. So maybe I'll cut it like this way, I'm thinking. Or you could start this way just because there's more meat there and then realize you want to cut back to the next line. So there's obviously some way to hold the ball. Then the string comes on, and then it meets some kind of tuning mechanism at the bottom. So I'll just kind of brainstorm with these pieces and figure it out. So let's just cut the scroll off because honestly it's fun. Get rid of these pegs. We know that the scroll's coming off. You don't have to, have a half-baked idea, just go with it. This. Got one of these. All right, let's cut this thing off. I'm just gonna follow the line of the inside of the peg box here, so you can just rest this against the nut. Get it started. You like that? looks like. Still have that little dip there for your hand. And we'll just try to work out this surface to be able to hold the ball end of the string. All right, I got a pretty good idea for this part. If you just kind of cut a slit down each of these lines, and then the ball could end up in this little recess here, two on each side. And then to keep the ball from like flying out, you can have a permanent piece of wood right across here. And then so whenever you, I guess down here, whenever you feed the ball in, you'd have to feed it through the slit underneath the piece of wood and then up. And so you know, that'd be cool. Another consideration, remember though too, is that the string has the ball, then it has that fabric liner, and it stretches. So we're stretching downward here, so it means that the fabric gonna like be trying to work its way down the neck. So we might have to figure out a way, or even like cut the fabric off or retie the ball or something, so that this starts here with like actual string and not the fabric wound part. But we'll figure that out later. And honestly, even if the fabric goes up and over it, I'm still gonna call it a success. Okay, I cut the slots, used this thing. And then that piece that I was talking about earlier can be this guy, just like a piece of the scroll from before. I'll put it on there. And that'll hold the ball end over here. All right, here it is glued and clamped. I used white glue because I wanted the extra strength, and you know, it's pretty hacked anyway. So if I really needed to remove it, I could just carve it off and put a new one. So there you go. And it's gonna dry pretty damn soon, so that's another advantage of just using the white and continuing forward. After picking through the tailpiece collection, I decided to go with the most naive solution, which is a big tailpiece with tiny little pegs that actually fit directly into the holes where the strings go. And I've already kind of measured and drilled that out. I guessed kind of where to put the hole, towards the bottom, because I want the string to terminate down lower at the bottom, but that might be a mistake. Maybe I really want the hole up here so that I can like wind the string down from the hole. And if that's the case, then I could make another one. But we'll see kind of through experimentation if that was a good decision or not. But yeah, I numbered these little guys, so they all kind of fit into these things here, and then I'll probably end up trimming this stuff off, but it doesn't seem like it's going to go far down enough to be an issue. The glue dried, and this is what it looks like. I cut a couple of channels down the nut, down the back of the neck there. And if I wasn't so egregious in the way that I sawed off the scroll there, I could have sawed it out at a different angle, and then there would have been enough wood to drill up through instead of having to add this extra piece of wood back on. So if I was going to do this again, I would, leave more of the headstock or whatever you'd call it still hanging out, but this should work. I don't know if you can see very well, but there's holes that go through this thing, so you're going to string it down, and then I don't know if I showed you this too deeply, but I've numbered and drilled out these little tiny pegs here and on this oversized tailpiece. So I'm gonna then use this thing, which is a bridge that you can adjust. It goes here, and then you screw it based on the string height that you want. So basically I don't even have to like cut a bridge just yet to see that this is like a potential success. And so then I've got these strings, and I'm gonna throw all this shit together right now. Here's how it turned out. There's your headless. Goes down. Then I actually went under. I decided that to get the right tension and to get enough of like height of the tailpiece, especially to clear the pegs underneath, you couldn't come in from the top. You have to go in from the bottom. So it actually comes up through the slot that you would expect. Just that's a little weird. And then the pegs are drilled. I re-drilled them to the top because I realized with the underneath technique, you want to kind of start from the top and then you wind downward, and then you can put more winds on the peg because it just keeps pushing the extra upward, and it doesn't prevent you from turning too much. And I think it satisfies a lot of the physical requirements. So as you can see, it's almost like not too far off. If I had done it a different way, it would have been like higher than the actual bridge. And you can see I already set my sound post. So now I'm going to tune this thing.